crazy, Nancy. I tell you what, I've been watching her, and I have been watching her for a long period of time. She's not the same person. She's lost it.
She'll cut your head off and you won't even know you're bleeding. That's all you need to know about her.
I'm announcing the House of Representatives moving forward with an official impeachment inquiry. I'm directing our 6 committees to proceed with their investigations under that umbrella of impeachment inquiry. The president must be held accountable. No one is above the law. Article 1 is adopted. The question is on adoption of Article 2. The question is on the adoption of Article 2. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. No. The ayes have it. Aye. Those opposed, nay. No. The ayes have it. As Speaker of the House, I solemnly and sadly open the debate on the impeachment of the President of the United States. If we do not act now, we would be derelict in our duty. It is tragic that the President's reckless actions make impeachment necessary. He gave us no choice.
When this is over, do you think that President Trump will be chastened and understand that he's got a Congress watching him? Or will he be emboldened because the Senate will have acquitted him?
Well, he will not be acquitted. You cannot be acquitted if you don't have a trial. And you don't have a trial if you don't have witnesses and documentation and that. I would hope that the senators, if it comes to a tie, or if there's a question of hearing testimony or receiving documents, would leave it up to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
We watched what transformed last night on this floor. It's something that we've said all the time. The weakest, the thinnest, the fastest impeachment in U.S. history. Schumer even admitted, trying to ask for more witnesses, that what happened on this floor over here was wrong. Now we have the own Speaker of the House who is so embarrassed that she admits the failure of this impeachment that she will not even send it to the Senate. So embarrassed that I watched in her press conference she wouldn't even take your questions. That is not a good legacy to have.
They wanted me to impeach President Bush for the Iraq War. I didn't believe in it then, I don't believe in it now. It divides the country. It's exciting to be here, especially at this time, to be able to be unified with our community. We want to be vigilant about what it might be on what is out there in other places. We want to be careful about how we deal with it, but we do want to say to people, come to Chinatown. Here we are. We're, again, careful, safe, and come join us.
What is your response to Speaker Pelosi, who said earlier today that you don't know what you're talking about the coronavirus? I'm also wondering if you'd want to address critics who say you can't be trusted about what your administration is saying.
Sure. I think Speaker Pelosi's incompetent. But the virus, we're doing a very professional job. We have the best people. Our vice president is working very hard. We have tremendous people involved. I think the Democrats should not try and make this, or the Republicans should not make this a political issue. This is above politics. Again, we closed the borders very early.
You, as you are right now, have been very critical of President Trump, especially for what you say is the time that he lost initially in January and February in responding to the virus. But I want to point out that on February 24th, you went on a walking tour of Chinatown to try to promote tourism there, and here's some of what you had to say.
That's what we're trying to do today, is to say everything is fine here. Come, because precautions have been taken. We think it's very safe to be in Chinatown and hope that others will come.
If the president underplayed the threat in the early days, Speaker Pelosi, didn't you as well?
Welcome back. We're here with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and we've asked her to share something from her home for a little late show and tell. Speaker Pelosi, what have you found? What are you going to share with us from your home?
Chocolate.
Really?
Chocolate candy.
Oh, wow.
And?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the episode of Cribs I never knew I needed. Oh, my. Wow.
Other people in our family go for some other flavors, but chocolate, and then we have some other chocolate here.
See, I've always felt a connection with you, and now I understand why.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, we respect the enthusiasm that people have to get out and get some fresh air and the rest. But they should not do it rationalizing that it doesn't matter how they do it. It does matter. And that's why I would hope that the president and the vice president all would wear a mask. They don't wear a mask, why not? Other people should, so they should set an example.
Is it time to mandate the wearing of masks across the country?
Oh, I definitely long overdue for that. And my understanding that the Centers for Disease Control has recommended the use of masks, but not required it because they don't want to offend the president. And the president should be example. Real men wear masks. Be an example to the country and wear the mask. Not only it's not about protecting yourself, it's about protecting others and their families.
Nancy Pelosi is under fire today after surveillance video shows her at a hair salon getting a blowout and not wearing a face mask.
And let me just say this. I take responsibility for trusting the word of a neighborhood salon that I've been to over the years many times, and that when they said, well, we're able to accommodate people one person at a time, and that we can set up that time, I trusted that. As it turns out, it was a setup. So I take responsibility for falling for a setup. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Our lives, and now they will lose their jobs because McConnell says let the states go bankrupt.
Excuse me for interrupting.
Let the states go bankrupt.
Madam Speaker, but they really need the money right now, and even members of
I understand
your own,
that, but
even members of your own caucus,
even
members of your own caucus, Madam Speaker, want to accept this deal. $1.8 trillion. Congressman Ro Khanna, for example. But let me just quote Ro Khanna, a man you know well. I assume you admire him. He's a Democrat. And he just said this. He said, people in need can't wait until February. $1.8 trillion is significant and more than twice the Obama stimulus. Make a deal. Put the ball in McConnell court. So what do you say to Ro Khanna?
What I say to you is, I don't know why you're always an apologist. And many of your colleagues, apologists for the Republican position. Ro Khanna, that's nice. That isn't what we're going to do, and nobody's waiting till February. I want this very much now, because people need help now. But it's no use giving them a false thing just because the president wants to put a check with his name on it in the mail, that we should not be doing all we can to help people pay the rent, put food on the table, to enhance benefits, that they don't lose their jobs if they're state and local, we're talking about the consequences of a pandemic, the symptoms of a problem that the president refuses to address.
But you know,
and that is the coronavirus.
We know
that is
we
the
know
coronavirus.
the problem out there, but there are millions of Americans who have lost their jobs. They can't pay the rent. Their kids need the food.
That's right, and that's what we're trying to get done.
$1.8 trillion, and the president just tweeted, stimulus, go big or go home. He wants even more right now, so why not work out a deal with him, and don't let the perfect, as they say here in Washington, be the enemy of the good.
Well, I will not let the wrong be the enemy of the right.
What's wrong with $1.8 trillion?
Well, you know what? Do you have any idea what the difference is between the spending that they have in their bill and that we have in our bill? Do you realize that they have come back and said all these things for child tax credits and earned income tax credits, or helping people who have lost their jobs, are eliminated in their bill? Do you realize they pay no respect to the fact that child care is very important for people whose children cannot go to school because they're doing remote learning, and yet they minimize the need for child care, which is the threshold with which people, mothers and fathers, can go to work if they have that? Do you have any idea of how
that's precisely why, Madam Speaker,
they're concerned?
That's why it's so important right now. Yesterday I spoke to Andrew Yang, who says the same thing. It's not everything you want,
but you know what?
There's a lot there.
To be clear, you're not taking any arrows out of your quiver. You're not ruling anything out.
Good morning. Sunday morning. We have a responsibility. We take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. Well, I don't know what the prospects are when we hear people saying I'm young and I'm a perfect specimen, instead of addressing the fact that 50,000 people were infected, reported to be infected yesterday. Nearly 1,000 people died. What are we talking about here? Tomorrow, by the way, come here tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the 25th Amendment, but not to take attention away from the subject we have now.
Do you think it's time to invoke the 25th Amendment?
I'll talk to you about that tomorrow. The 25th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified in 1967 after the assassination of President Kennedy, with strong bipartisan support. Members of Congress have a duty to take all necessary action to preserve continuity of government and protect the stability and integrity of our democracy for the future. This is not about President Trump. He will face the judgment of the voters, but he shows the need for us to create a process for future presidents. The 25th Amendment creates a path for preserving stability if a president suffers a crippling physical or mental problem and is, unquote, in the amendment, unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. A president's fitness for office must be determined by science and facts. This legislation applies to future presidents, but we are reminded of the necessity of action by the health of the current president. With this bill, the Congress honors our oath to support and defend the Constitution and protect the American people, and we uphold our responsibility to preserve our republic for generations to come. But again, I have always respected the office of the president and the presidency, as I would hope they respect Article 1, the Congress of the United States.
And my fellow Americans, the best is yet to come. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
She did.
Wait.
Sure did.
A stunning moment here at the end of the president's speech. Nancy Pelosi tearing up what appeared to be a copy of the president's speech.
Wow.